Aloha and welcome to the Look of My Life. Here we go. It is Wednesday, and I got two of my favorite gals sitting backstage right now for us to start a little discussion here. And also we'll let people start getting the notifications out, all that fun stuff, and give the dogs a couple treats because we know how important the dogs are. Because after all, the only reason why Loco goes live is so the dogs can get treats. That's basically the only reason right now. So welcome to those of you popping into chat. I know Dear Burden is finishing up what was a really good live. Really good live. We were just finishing at the end discussion on where we're going to start here on Athena. And so it looks like people are popping in from there. So we got JP. Hello, my dear. Allie, welcome. Annie Lou is over here, and Grandma Sherry, who's been helping me with some ideas in the background. KK, been talking to KK. How you doing, girl? Nicole and Seal and BC, and we know the whole group, but I want to bring up the two gals. So, yes, Cassie, I know. Hello. You want to say hello, Cassie? No, you want treats. So anyhow, here we go. Coming up, we'll start with someone who actually, I think she's going to be on camera today. I think. Yes, she is. It is Sleuth Mom.
Hi.
Hey, girl.
Hi, everyone.
How are you?
How's it going? Good. Really good.
I was like, yeah, vacation time for you, huh?
Yes. Totally. Doing this from my phone. So this is a new experience for me.
Yeah, I saw you on cam and I was like, okay, wait. Is she going on cam? Is she going on? Yep, she is. Yes. So, well, welcome. And I hope you're having fun with it. You've deserved it. You've been working your butt off the last couple of weeks so hard.
We are having a really good time.
Yeah. Anytime you're out and just out in nature in general, I love it. It's so nice. So, okay, should we bring Burden up? Maybe. Yeah, Cassie, should we bring? Oh, she wants treats. Okay, here she is, Miss Burden. How you doing, Burden?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Great live. That was a good live.
There's so much information, so I'm ready to just keep it going over here.
It is, yeah, this one's been interesting because there is so much, and it's so messy because there's so many just moving parts. And you're like, okay, what's going on with this side of what's going on? And it's so early. We hear about fluid situations. That's what this is. Hey, they're in the bushes. And also, so we'll definitely, I know most of us have heard a lot of what's been going on with this. So we're going to kind of just keep the story going. If there's anyone who's been wondering about the case, I think we're kind of all on the same page when it comes to Athena. Just real quick rundown. Athena was found by a postal, well, she wasn't found, her sister, 5-year-old sister was found yesterday around 2 p.m. when she came to drop off the mail. And this little 5-year-old walks up and says, I'm hungry and I can't find my sister. That's how they discovered this little 4-year-old's missing. She was at a house, not her own parents' house. She was over at another house, which has added to more of the confusion. So got two different things. Hey, support with Steffa. How you doing, my dear? And here comes the cold again. Yeah, hours of reading today. Everyone is just like in above our heads with information on this. So what I thought I would do, and like I said, this one's kind of confusing in that there's a lot of family in this case. And you guys know how Hen, how you doing? Happy 2023 to you also, Hen. Okay. Love you, my dear, and I'll have a great one. And we'll talk. We definitely got to talk. It's been a while. And so hope you have a great one. So one of the people who has been posting, of course, we've got a lot of family members who've been posting recently. And one of them is the niece of one of the grandmas. So, and she kind of came out on one of the Facebook groups to say, this is the facts. We don't want to keep having all these other things going around. Now, you know what? Facts many times can be perceptions also. So I want to state that because we don't know where some of this stuff is going, how connections go, things like that. But I did want to just bring this up, and I'm going to read through it so you guys don't have to strain your eyes too much here. But what I wanted to do is, we know the basics of what happened, okay, with her being found missing and stuff like that. This is according to, as she says here, a family member of Athena. They had followed TCS for a very long time. These are the facts that we know of now. Before I start, we just found out all of this last night, like everyone else. We have plenty of family members, including myself, that would have taken the girls. We just didn't know anything. And so I think that's one thing, keep in the back of your mind. When we talk family, there are so many different members of families. And all of them are individuals also. They're not one big lumped group. There's individuals, and each of those individuals have different relationships within them. So first, Athena and her older sister, Athena, were in the care of another family member, not the bio parents. 2, there was no custody order at all in place. They were just being cared for by another family member. There were a total of 6 kids in the house, 4 that belonged to the couple and 2 that were another family members, that being Athena and Athena. Yes.
Just real quick to clarify that.
Yeah.
So this is not a CPS, like CPS did not put them into this home.
From everything I'm understanding, I'm not getting, and that's been some of the confusion because we're hearing so many rumor mills as to why are the kids there and stuff like that. It's sounding to me like there is no custody order. Okay, CPS did not order that they take care of the kids or anything like that, according to this one family member. And but great point, Sleuth, because I know that's something a lot of people had wondered about. The wife left a week ago and nobody knew where she was. Later on, found out she was in the city staying with a new boyfriend. All 6 kids were left with the husband. Saturday, the husband showed up in Arizona with his 4 kids and told all of our family the other 2 were dropped off with the other grandparent. Okay, so there's another whole thing right there. So he definitely, someone had to have known, maybe him. We don't know. We're going to find that out as time goes on, definitely. The mail lady was delivering mail yesterday, Monday, when Athena walked out crying and said she was hungry and couldn't find her sister. She then stepped in the house, found there were no adults, and contacted the authorities. The authorities contacted the,
Sorry, I just want to clarify,
No.
because I listened to about 10 minutes of Burden's Live, and I did very, very little research because we've been so busy. And so the mail lady was outside of her house delivering the mail whenever the little girl came out and seen her? Or was she like wandering the street and like the mail lady found her? That's what I'm confused about, I guess.
I saw a report that said that the mail lady was out front of what they were calling Athena's house. But then I've now seen a little bit further where it says that the little girl was walking on the road, on the street, was up on the roadway. And so, yeah, I was like, oh boy, that's not good. But yeah, the way that I have been taking it is that it was out front of where Athena's home would be, even though we know that's not actually technically Athena's home. The more we're taking the layers off of this, that's not really her home. But that's what it's referred to. Yeah.
This is becoming like an onion.
I was just
we get
curious
a different layer.
Right. And not only that, though, but that shows, okay, so like if the little girl would have opened her door and just kind of seen the mail lady, that's one thing. But if the mail lady took it upon herself, like God bless the mail lady, to stop a child who she's seen in the streets or walking around or whatever the case scenario is, you know what I mean? Because that's very, very proactive on the mail lady's part in that case.
Oh yeah. So, think of it, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. This child, the 5-year-old, not even talking Athena, But just the 5-year-old, of course she's hungry and
right. And that makes me wonder
and
if
all those things.
both children went outside or if just one did.
And it's very possible. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They could have gone out playing at some point and one went in to go to the bathroom and then the other kept walking. They're 4 or 5 years old. They're both young. These are not, both of them are babies in my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's so sad. And for the 5-year-old sister to come out and to have tears and say, I'm hungry and I can't find my sister. I'm so thankful for the mail lady. She really is an angel right now, because I can't imagine had she not stopped and not actually taken it seriously. And it states that she then went to the home, the mail lady went to the door and knocked and then did not find any adults inside and then contacted the police. Like, I'm so thankful for her.
I can just picture right now where the 5-year-old was hungry and couldn't find her sister and may have actually left the house looking for her sister. And who knows where she could have ended up in the end. So, yeah. LM, he took his 4 children to Arizona, I think is what it's saying, to family in Arizona. Yeah. And told all of our, so whether it's family in Arizona or just went on a vacation or whatever. But yeah, both have gone looking for food. Athena didn't come back. Okay, were they looking for someone? They must have been terrified. Okay, think about children at that age while they're sleeping, Steph. Exactly. They're scared to sleep in their own house when they have family around, much less when there's no adult around.
It's so infuriating too, because like what drives you to leave 2 children in this age range alone, period, let alone for multiple days? Very frustrating.
Yeah,
and then lie. Right.
Yeah, and say that you dropped them off
with the kid.
With another grandparent. The other grandparent's gonna tell the truth. Okay, so something. Okay, thank you, Seal. I definitely will do that. So, KK, we are being told Saturday, according to this grandparent, is when he went to the other location. So we will find out.
I think it's Friday. I'm not sure if there could be anything switching, because I know that you're behind me, aren't you? You're behind me. I was going to say with you being ahead of me. But from what I've been seeing reported was at least Friday is the date that I've got, which was the 6th. As long as the 6th is Friday, then it all adds up. But
then it all works out that way.
Yeah. I'm hoping those two at least match.
Well, let's see. Okay, so Seal just sent us a map of the area. Thank you, Seal. Thank you. So this is the area of where they went missing from. So, yeah, I'm not sure going out how much we've got with water, or do we have woods or anything like that. Definitely looks kind of ruralish. Not semi-rural, you know what I mean? That kind of in-between zone. So, yeah. And by the way, Mercy, that is so cool. I used to live on Kauai for years. That is so cool. And also, Poipu, I lived in Lihue and worked on both sides of the island. And I don't now, though. It was too quiet there for me.
Now, with you mentioning that you're not sure if there's water around, I personally was concerned about the water because it is stated that she is autistic, and we know that a lot of autistic children are drawn to water, and in a lot of cases that the children get out, they're missing, they do a search, and there is an unfortunate amount that end up being in water. They find them in the water. And so that is a concern if in fact the two did get left and that's all that happened, right? And because we don't really know how to view this. Did something happen prior to that and this is just a cover up, or were they really left alone? And if they were left alone,
option.
Yeah.
No, think of all the options. Okay, they could be out on their own looking for food. They could have been out playing. Okay, they could walk somewhere, and if there's geography of the type that puts them into more danger, i.e., water, woods, things like that, that becomes a problem. Next step, attack of opportunity. Someone's driving down the road, sees a little 4 or 5-year-old, because I'm going to say it, the 5-year-old was in as much danger as Athena was. And anyone could have potentially picked up a child at that age very easily. So, hello, princess. How you doing, my dear? So, yeah, it's definitely. And our dear Sleuth, no problem, my dear. Oh, we just lost Sleuth again. Sleuth is now having to deal with things on the phone, and I feel for her because I've done it before from a phone, and it's no fun. Doing live from a phone sucks royally. And let me bring up the other thing.
I haven't had to do it yet, and so I'm thankful for that. But I do know that if you use a phone, there is the back button that is a common button a lot of people want to use. I think it's when they're switching between chats, maybe. And anyway, the back button is not the button you want to push. It will kick you right out. And so I'm thinking that's exactly what's happening to her right now.
What's happening exactly as she tries to go back. Yep, here she be. Hello, Sleuth. We love you.
You know what? I've got to get used to this because I'm so not used to being on my phone. And it's like every button I push, it keeps backing me out. I'm like, stop it. So I'm just not going to touch anything. I'm sorry that I'm not reading you guys' chats. I'm trying to like go in and out of it. And I'm like, what is it doing to me?
You know what? Okay. You can see our little screen. So what I'll do is I'll make a point of bringing up messages, okay, from chat here as they have anything to do, so you can kind of see. Yeah, no problem.
No, that's good. Thank you.
No worry. And yeah, I've dealt with phone before. I mean, just the New Year's Eve things that I do, and I'm like, I'm going to hit the wrong button. I know. Thank God Burden was here the other day for me. Otherwise, I would have. Yeah, same thing. Not fun. But yeah, Steffa, what you just mentioned, I hope cameras in the neighborhood. They've been asking for cameras from Ring. We're talking a fairly long time period, though, also. So your point here about them being recorded over, that's what happens after 24 hours, 48 hours. They go back and they start recording to save memory. So good point there. And also, yep, everyone's having fun with you, Sleuth. All of them. We love you, girl.
It wouldn't be me without some type of issue. For real, for real. It's good.
Exactly. So, and of course, I'll bring up every one of the comments about it. No problem. So, okay, let's see what else we got here. So, mail delivery, it was delivering when found her. She stepped in the house, found no adults, and contacted the authorities. The authorities contacted the home owner, which is another local family member. So again, it's a large family. It's not people who live there. And he told them who actually lived in the house. And they contacted the wife. She stated she left all the kids with the husband and she didn't leave them by themselves. The authorities located the husband in Arizona with his kids, and he told them he dropped them off with the other grandparent, which is obviously not true. Okay, or allegedly. I'm going to say allegedly here because we don't know the full picture of anything. We aren't super sure exactly what day it was she was last seen. Also, she is not nonverbal. She is just super quiet and super shy. Both of these people are at fault no matter which story is true. Right now, the focus is where is Athena? Okay, please check properties, cameras, all that. So that is, according to a family member, the facts, just the way that we like to see them here. What are the specifics that led to someone going missing? And
I guess I would be curious to find out if any neighbors' Ring doorbell cameras or anything like that showed Dad leaving with the other 4 kids, but not the other 2. Because that'll be a surefire way to know, did he actually take them out and take them somewhere and drop them off? Or, you know, because I mean, there is still the possibility that whoever the other grandparents were could have taken them back home and dropped them back off, you know, assuming that the parents were home and maybe didn't walk them in. Like, that is I mean, I'm not saying that it's what happened, but it is a
No.
possibility.
When we're sitting here and we have to be fair to all the facts, you have to bring that as a possibility until you're told something different. And cameras are a good point, because that's where it comes down to. We all remember the West Boys. Okay, cameras were key to that. Okay, recognizing, okay, were they with them when they left? What happened? Okay, things like that. Hopefully there are videos, or people saw the kids outside and didn't realize, or something like that.
I think the police are going to have a pretty good idea when they see they're asking everybody around that area to check their surveillance and videos. And if they, one, you're going to see whether he even shows up to that property to drop them off. If he doesn't, and obviously he went there, right? Because at least one got dropped off, but did two? And so that is a question to even begin with. And then you will hopefully find out the date that happened. And so far, they're looking like it's Friday. It's the best they can determine, but they're still trying to figure out the timeline. And then, yeah, you find out, did they walk out of the home, and two of them. And then all of a sudden, you only have the one that's saying, I can't find my sister. She didn't technically say somebody took my sister.
No.
Because I think they would be looking a little more towards Amber Alert way, even though they wouldn't have the vehicle for sure. I think they would have a little more reason, and they would have mentioned, right? So I just feel like it'll tell a lot based off of surveillance. And I'm hoping that people are turning in all the surveillance that they have to help with this. And I would imagine they are, because there were 250 people that were just civilians that showed up to help with the search last night. And so, yeah, they are phenomenal. They're all coming together. So I would imagine that they're turning the video in.
Yeah, I suspect, and actually, let me bring that. So earlier today, and that's where this kind of starts going into that. Let me pull this up real quick. There was another press conference going over everything that has happened up to now. We've got two sleuth moms backstage. So let me take out that sleuth mom and add this sleuth mom. Hello, are you doing multiple cameras, my dear?
Apparently. No, that time it was StreamYard. It said that there was a connection issue.
So. Oh, got it. That makes sense. So at first I thought we could rewatch the press conference, but I know a lot of us have already watched it once, twice, if not more times. So what I was able to find was an article that broke down the press conference pretty good. So I thought we can kind of go through this. It gives us also more ability to be able to talk through whatever it is that we find here. So if anyone has any ideas, we can throw ideas out and all that. Okay, thank you, Seal. So Seal is saying Alicia's parent. So the caregiver's parents live in Arizona. So they were visiting family. And all it sounds like. So okay, so from this morning, the Oklahoma Bureau of Investigation held a formal press conference on Wednesday as the search for missing 4-year-old Athena Brownsfield continues in Cyril. The original investigation began yesterday, Tuesday, at 2 p.m., but according to officials, the exact time and date is unknown. However, they're saying she's been missing since January 6th. Now, January 6th is, interesting, Friday. And he says, so that I'm taking it that he must have left on Friday and gotten to Arizona on Saturday. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm hoping that she was for sure seen, and that they know she was without a doubt there Friday, because that could be scary.
That could be very, very important right there. Yeah. Did they actually see her at that point? According to officials, her 5-year-old sister was found by a mail carrier who contacted authorities around 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Luckily, she did not need medical care, although officers said she was incredibly frightened. And she is currently in DHS custody, according to OSBI. And I know, Burden, you were saying that family were saying that they want to visit her, but they have to work through, of course. Yep. Okay, sir. Yeah. And that makes sense too. because if family, they've got to protect the investigation, they got to protect the child, they've got to do all those things. Yeah, I'm hoping she wasn't there missing longer. And Elizabeth, what male had DV in front of a child? That one is a question for, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure on that one. Elizabeth had asked, what male had DV in front of a child?
Oh, the husband. So
Okay.
Alicia's husband, the one that took the 4 children and supposedly left the 2 that were not his. He is who, or boyfriend. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, Seal. Okay. Hopefully she's right, and I'm just switch the men out, and that would be the boyfriend, which wouldn't be as concerning to us. I promise that one would not be as nearly upsetting. Not good, but not as upsetting, because that would be the one that she went to supposedly visit, and the children got left behind, right? But she took off supposedly ahead of her husband, I guess is what we're calling. It's these people. It's so strange, but so it would be the guy that she went to go visit, and then not the one that they were left with. So that would be more positive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Seal, it is so confusing. So many people, and I think give us another, hopefully they'll find her within the next 24 hours. But things will start clearing up a little, making a little more sense of stuff. Significant other, that works, KK. And yes, actually, I did want to point this out. Steph has got a great point here. This was something we talked about beforehand, because this series right now is talking about CPS failures, but a missing child needs to jump priority real quick. We need to get her face out, things like that. So we wanted to cover, we are going to talk about a CPS case once we finish covering this one. But that's why I even said, right now, there's nothing showing that there is any CPS. We may find something out in the future, but right now.
And honestly, this is one of those cases that kind of shows why the system exists, right? Because while there is failures in the system, while things go horribly wrong sometimes, while there is like ball dropping and all that stuff, this is why it's necessary, because situations like this could be prevented, or God forbid, she's found. This prevents, or like, I hope she's found, but hopefully she's found alive, right? God forbid she's found not alive or something along those lines. The system being in place will remove, even the 4 children that are in that house. It'll remove her sister. It'll take them somewhere until everything's evaluated. If they see if there's foul play or not, obviously there is clearly neglect in this situation, different things like that. And so that's why we have CPS. Like, it is a necessary evil.
Exactly.
It is a necessary system to try to protect our children. And like, kind of our series is about how can we help CPS get better or redo the system so that we stop having failures. And cases like this, though, this is just, 100% why we need checks and balances, and why we need people who are able to look in on kids.
Right. The word checks and balances is perfect there, because that's what it is. We need these systems. You need these things in place so that, someone may have been able to call and say, hey, we're noticing this is happening in this house. Okay. Or someone had, so many possibilities that may have stopped it if CPS had gotten involved in it.
Well, and so say that, say the mail lady came, found her sister, and they were both just there alone, hungry, whatever. Even if she wouldn't have been missing, CPS in that point would need to be involved to remove them from that situation to get them help, right? And so that's why it is an important program. It's just so many things in the program are broken. And so our series isn't necessarily to attack CPS, but it's to attack the failures within the system so that we can better learn how to change things.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. And there is, it's like I said last week, Long-term care gets a bad rap a lot of times. But you know what? If you use your failures as a chance to grow and to become better, that's a lot of what we do. And that's what needs to happen because there's some wonderful CPS programs out there. Okay. And so what works for some, what doesn't work for some. So, yeah, great point in this case. And also, thank you so much, Jared. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. These gals have an amazing channel also, really amazing channels for both of them. But thank you so much. And I'll talk about these gals. Let me bring her back up. And also, let me see here. What else do we, sorry, Papa's up and down today. So let's see. Once officers arrived on the scene, they discovered another child. Athena was also missing, and the search began right away. Sorry, dog's barking. According to officials with the Highway Patrol, officers and community members searched by air, water, and ground as the search continued overnight. I also have a update from about an hour ago I'll share right after we finish this page, thanks to Burden. The OHP implemented helicopters with infrared, canine units, and even boats to search local bodies of water. So we're being told there is local bodies of water here. Okay. I'm happy they're using the infrared and all that. Definitely happy with that. But yeah, scary. Yeah, Crisp is working. You can't hear the dogs barking. Thank you. Oh my gosh, Crisp. Hey, Crisp works. Whether it's a child screaming in the background or a dog barking, it works. And also, okay, let's see. A special team known as the ERT team was utilized by OHP to help community members search by foot using training specific to ground searches. And I think one of you guys, was it Burden? You said how many people showed up to search?
250 yesterday for last night's. Yeah, there was 250.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yep. And that's so these groups that do that is super. Let's see, as a search. Okay, as the search began, an Amber Alert was not issued, prompting several questions from residents in the area. And this was one of the things that a lot of people have been talking about. And I personally, as much as we need child family services to be looked at and revamped in areas, we need to look at our Amber Alert system also, to be honest, at this point. That's just me and my soapbox. According to them, OHP officials explain Amber Alerts are only issued when the situation meets specific guidelines. We know about those guidelines. And this case did not meet the guidelines. Not sure if it's because of the car issue, because a lot of places you have to have a car and, okay, know exactly who it was, okay, have a suspect in play or something like that, which they would, of course, not have in this case. Instead, officials chose to issue an endangered missing advisory, which went out to everyone in a 15-mile radius, which is good. It gives everyone from that area. But what if she was picked up by someone and is outside of that area? That's why I'm happy it's actually spreading now a little quicker. And let's see. Oopsie, sorry. Where was I? This is good. So the officials have noticed numerous clues that have been found across town during the search, and they are hopeful the items will help. I would love to know what those are. I would love to know what those, do they have video from other locations? Maybe that's the video we're talking about. I don't know, but that'd be really interesting. There is no plan to increase the size of the search area at this time. However, they will reevaluate as the situation continues. They are asking anyone with doorbell or home camera to check for Athena and to search their property. However, they ask people not to self-deploy in search efforts without checking in at the command post, which is at Holy Family Life Church. And
God,
according to
seriously, sorry.
Yeah.
I just hope and pray that they have her on camera somewhere walking around, because, you know, cases like this, I'm sorry, we've seen too many where kids aren't reported missing or things like this happen. Think of Oakley Carlson, think of Harmony. You know, there's too many that they aren't reported missing, or Cody Bigsby even. And then it was foul play, right? And so I'm hoping and praying they have her on camera somewhere, and that these jerkwads left them alone, did horrible by them as far as neglect and caring for them and things like that, and that these kids went out looking for help, and maybe she wandered
Right.
a different way. Maybe she's hiding like somewhere. I
Mhm.
bring up Raker Webb all the time, little boy who was hiding in the lawnmower bag, and it's just, I hope that there's a chance that she is going to be completely fine and found.
Yeah. And there's a possibility. We're still within that time. Someone asked in Burden's chat, sorry, I forget who it was now. Do you think she's okay? There's always hope. Okay, there's always hope. Okay, maybe she found a place. Maybe something. Who knows? Who knows? And all. So, Burden sent me this. This is an update about an hour ago from the Oklahoma Highway Patrol. So, our emergency response team, the ERT they were talking about, organized grid searches today in Cyril for missing 4-year-old Athena. Our Troop W personnel searched bodies of water in and around the town with side scan sonar. We continue to offer any and all resources to bring her home. So you can kind of see that they're definitely out there with the water. Oh gosh, you sent it in Discord also. Seal, you are the bomb. Should have known, should have known. There was a post about a couple seeing the girls. Okay, I'll have to go take a look at that one also. And because that would be, especially depending when it was, if they're saying the girls, that means we can point out for sure that it wasn't just one of the girls, they were still together at that point. Would be interesting. I love the fact that you get people, here we go, 8 hours ago, them out on their ATVs. Yeah, just truly great stuff. And there's our little one there. And she is adorable. This little one is just, oh my God. I've noticed in all of her pictures, she's got these big, big bows. Couple different pictures that have been shared so far, huge bows, and it's so adorable. And also, let me see if I can find the information that was being mentioned about someone who saw her. Let's see. Let me see. Sorry, puppy. No, no, no. Yeah, I don't know. Gals, what are your guys' thoughts on this right now? No, did I lose everyone?
No, I was just waiting to see if Pop was going to talk. Sorry.
Was I unmuted that whole time and then I just remuted? I think that's exactly what happened.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
I'm making weird noises and stuff too while I'm at it. I'm probably like clearing my throat and who even knows.
Oh my God, that was
I was going to talk. I'm sorry, you guys. I've been clicking right away. I'm so sorry. I was going to say that I'm looking through different things over here that are being posted, and I will say that it's kind of quick. I will advise not to jump too far into what there's people already comparing her little eyes, and does it look like a black eye or is that a shadow? And
oh my God.
it's so, yeah, it's a little, I just would advise to not start climbing down that hole because we really have no idea right yet what has happened. And I think it would be a lot more apparent if that was the case. It's more than likely a shadow, but I know that these things can fall downhill really, really quickly as it starts, and it could just take a nosedive. And I'm hoping that does not happen. But yeah, that was one thing, and I forgot my other thought because I was unmuted that entire time, and then I muted, so I forgot now. Go ahead, Sleuth.
Oh.
No, I agree. I mean, it's so hard to know exactly what happened. We're getting tidbits. Like, I really hope that that's true, that somebody's seen them walking into the house and stuff. I really do. But I still question, is there a possibility that this guy did actually drop them off somewhere? Could somebody have taken them back to that area and like sent them back in without double checking that there was actually somebody there?
Yeah.
Or is he just a complete and total worthless individual who neglected the heck out of these kids by leaving them home alone? I can't picture a world ever in my life where a 5-year-old and a 3 or 4-year-old. Do we know, is she 3 or 4? Because I've seen it both ways.
4. I think she just
She's
turned
4.
4,
Okay.
something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no,
Yeah.
that was
So
a
like I
question
can't
I
picture
had
a world.
earlier.
Right. Like, I mean, because I have a 4-year-old, right? And so whenever you look at Junior and you think like Junior has some deficiencies, you know what I mean? But not, I could never picture her being alone to take care of herself ever,
Yeah.
ever.
No.
And
No.
so to leave them for multiple days from Friday until Tuesday, that's terrifying to me.
Mm-hmm. It's a good idea, JP. I'll keep that in the back of my head. And yeah, no, I think that's definitely yeah, it just, to me, I look at even 4 versus 5. 5-year-old, I mean, they're not even in elementary school yet. You're talking kindergarten. And
Right.
and that's the oldest sister. And yeah, no, and that's one reason why I said when they were like, oh, they obviously didn't take back to the grandparent. We don't know. Those are things that speculation type things. What is Burden's talking about? Guys, yeah, we should not even be touching that direction right now. How is that
I
going to
mean,
help us find this little girl?
I mean, we're looking at the age range whenever you talk about a 5-year-old, that their biggest life accomplishment is like learning how to tie their shoes and stuff, not learning how to take care of their 4-year-old little sister for a weekend or longer. Like, how long was this guy intending to be gone? Do we know? Was he like gone from Friday to Friday? Like, or was he like, I don't know. What was he expecting to come back and find? Was he expecting to come back and find them like starved to death? Because that's what I would expect if I leave 2
Mm-hmm.
children unattended for that long.
Because if you're
I
looking at
don't
the
know.
fact
The
he
whole
left
situation
on,
infuriates me.
yeah. Well, if you look at the fact Friday, they're saying was the last time she was seen. So that means Friday, okay, going from one place to the other probably took about half a day. Okay, that's a day's worth of travel. Then how much time was he staying there? And yeah, Mercy has a great point here that those initial hours are so important because in a case of abduction, yes, you truly are looking at a very short time period. It's sad, but it's true. Now, in the case of her, where she was wandering away, you get a little longer, but temperature, it's okay. It's been kind of chilly, I'd say right now. We're in the middle of the winter. Okay, and it sounds like she did have a hoodie on, and I'm hoping they figured out. I was trying to figure out how would they know what she was wearing last. Maybe they looked and noticed this is missing. That's possible. But yeah, is anyone in custody or being questioned? Allie, no one is in custody from my knowledge right now. I'm sure they're being questioned like crazy, but no one is actually in custody from my knowledge. But yeah, like Slew said, we don't know if maybe he did take to the grandparents, and maybe the grandparents thought that, oh, I was just dropping them off at the end of the day. Maybe it was just for a day and they dropped off and didn't check. We don't know. That's the problem with speculation. It takes you down way too many different side routes. And no problem, Sleuth, my dear. And it sounds like the male was punishing the female for going to, but it's potentially true for sure. So yeah, so that is Athena, and we need to get Athena. I know, Burden, you have a poster out for Athena. Sleuth, were you able to do? I know you're on vacation, so I'm not sure if you have a poster or not out.
I've not made one. I did share Kathy Pierce Missing Persons Advocacy, but like I said, she had 3 on hers, and if she's 4, obviously that part's not correct. But I guess
No.
what's most important is getting her face out there everywhere.
Yes.
So But I
That
did
I
share
agree.
that one. If you guys have one, I will be more than happy to share it to my Facebook and community wall. I am operating from just my cell phone right now because I forgot to take my laptop bag. So,
Oh no,
yay.
oh no. Okay, no problem. Yeah, I know Burden has one I've seen. I got one out. And also you're going to share Burden's perfect KK. So that's what we need to do right now. Okay, trying to figure out if there's shadows or things like no, 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 no. That's no, not now. In the future, if things go in that direction legally, then that goes in that direction. But right now, we need to find this little girl and we need to help support. If you can help support the community, okay, by calling in, okay, donating money to the community so they can buy water for searchers and stuff like that. That's how we can help them out right now. So, any last thoughts on that, Burden and Sleuth, before we move on over to Sophia?
Oh, there's just so many. I mean, I don't know. I have so many
No.
questions with it, and I just hope that it becomes a little more clear, and that even the people that are involved with this family start to speak up. And if that means that they've got to tell law enforcement on their own family member, throw them under the bus. Do what you got to do, because this little girl's life is what's most important. And if in fact this is all he that a grown adult left two little girls sitting in a home unattended for that entire amount of time, no, no, it's just awful. And I know that online they want the caregiver to be held accountable, and people are saying, well, she won't be, it'll be the man, because when she left in the care. Well, I don't know, I suppose so, but yeah, it becomes real messy when they're saying that um that they said the parents didn't have the custody, or that they weren't with the bio parents, but they were with a caregiver, but there is no actual
There's no order.
custody agreement. I mean, it really makes it very messy, and it's just not. The whole thing is very upsetting to me, starting from the top, and we'll see how far up it goes till we get to the top. But a lot of people have failed both of them, and I'm thankful that the one is okay and alive. And I'm not happy that she's not with family. But if that's the best place for her, then so be it. As long as she is safe, um, because it does seem that there may be some issues in the family. So yeah, it's upsetting. It's a pretty upsetting one for sure.
Truly,
Right.
truly is.
And family is not always the best option. In our minds, we want family to be the best option. But the reality is, it's not sometimes. In a
Yeah.
million years, I would never have put Harmony Montgomery or Oakley Carlson back with their families. Not in a million years. But then you look on the flip side, you got cases like Ariel Sellers, where, she would have been with her family. It goes back and forth, right? It's a never
Right.
ending battle of what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, this
exactly.
whole case is it's very, very sad to even think about them. But I am going to abandon you guys. I'll be down in the chat, but we are having some bedtime issues here and
Mhm.
gonna, yeah. So
I
Junior
hate
is
that
like,
window.
no, I want my mommy. So I'm gonna go.
Me, of course. I love
Yeah,
my
he's like, wait,
mommy.
why is
And
she out
this
on
is
the porch?
vacation.
hmm Right.
No problem. Love you, Sleuth. And all.
Good
No,
night.
I love you
love
guys.
you. Good night,
Love
my
you.
dear.
Bye, everyone.
And good night to Seal. And it looks like it's good night to JP also. So good night, you two. Okay, so we have one other. Okay, I know we are working towards this series on children who've been failed by the system. Now, like I said earlier, not all of CPS is bad, guys. We need CPS for cases like what's going on right now. Okay, most likely this would have been a perfect case for them. Okay, what happens is when you have problems within the CPS that are not being looked at and you're not changing and moving forward. And so I did want to say that because I don't want people to get the idea that this is let's bash CPS, because CPS is important. And so case I wanted to bring up today, okay, is the case of Sophia Mason. Let me pull this up. Not sure. Do either of you, Burden, do you remember Sophia?
Yes, I
You
I
do.
had covered her, and then there was a break. I don't know if it was a break in information or my own break, but then I went and looked again and found a whole nother set of information on her that I had done a follow up on. So yes, I do remember her case. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I remembered her case, but I did not see the update that had come in September. When, let me ask chat. Put a 1 in chat if you've heard of Sophia. Put a 2 in chat if you have not heard of Sophia. And because this is a case from earlier last year, a case outside of the San Francisco, area. 2 is KK's a 2, so had not heard of her. 1, Sherry had heard. Okay, so it looks like we might be getting a half-half. BC's a no. Okay, so some of this is going to be news for you guys, and how I decided there is so much information on this case. And it is, guys, it is frustrating in this case because this girl was, in my eyes, definitely failed by the system. Okay, hopefully, though, it's going to give the system a chance to become better. So just trigger warning, this one is a frustrating case. I'm going to read through something that came out in September. Basically, after this little girl was found dead, she had been reported missing and was later found dead in the family's bathtub. She had been there for about a month. Family members had been begging CPS to get involved in this case, and they had not gotten involved. Okay, others had done that. So what had happened in this one is there is a lawyer in the area who feels like, you know what, maybe if it gets it, because they keep saying the reason why they can't provide the services is not enough money. Okay, so then if the states have to start paying out money for cases that fail, then maybe they'll either give more money to CPS so they can do a better job, or they'll look at how they can do a better job. So they created, after a really big investigation into this case, over 400 pages of documents came out, and the decision was they were going to sue the county for not stepping in and helping out and being responsible to some degree for this little girl's death. So I'm going to kind of go through this. Burden, stop me whenever you need to stop me, because it is a fairly long article going through here, and we have a lot of people who haven't heard about this case. So I'm going to go ahead and share it out that way.
Okay.
Okay. So on a chilly February day in 2021, 7-year-old Sophia Mason showed off her new clothes and Barbie doll to an Alameda County social worker at San Felipe Park in Hayward County. But something about the way the girl talked about her life with her mother, Samantha Johnson, seemed scripted. The worker later noted in documents, newly released under court order, Sophia finally confirmed what many concerned adults in her life had suspected for weeks. Someone is hitting me, the tearful second grader said. The admission, which the county had not previously acknowledged, highlighted a series of concern aired to the Alameda County Department of Child and Family Services, from teacher, pediatrician, Social Services Administration worker, and the girl's relatives in early 2021. All had reported concerns about the care she was getting. Yet, despite the social worker's own hesitation about Johnson's ability to care for her child, the new records show officials responsible for safeguarding the girl repeatedly chose to not intervene. In fact, 6 weeks after the meeting, DCFS largely ceased contact with Sophia and her family for months. And warnings about Sophia's situation later in 2021 were either ignored or not properly investigated.
So right there, it's just we already kind of can see that there's an issue. Like why? It's just so upsetting that there's complaints being put out that there's issues and it's either being ignored, but then also there was the large gap in time that they just stopped, and that is where this is all gets more upsetting as you will continue reading. But yeah, to recognize that is that's really upsetting.
You kind of can go through these. Oh, sorry, Burton.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. That's all right.
My feeling is you go through these cases and you look at, okay, this did not work. This did work. This was a good process that we had in place here. So that's how it's going about. It needs to be going and looking at what worked, what did not work. And you just continue working on systems based off of processes that work. Is it easy? No, we all know that. We totally know that. We've got True Cajun True Crime walking in here. Actually, let me fix something real quick, my dear. There. So that account has a wrench also now. Okay. Let's see. A year after that visit in Hayward Park, Sophia's malnourished body was found decaying in a bathtub inside a Merced home. Authorities estimate she had been dead for at least a month. The girl's mother, Samantha, and Dante Jackson are now being held on murder charges. The details of what Sophia and other social workers suspected about her suspected abuse are revealed in 400 pages of documents obtained by the news organization through a court petition. Their release, which the county repeatedly sought to block, culminates in a months-long Bay Area news group investigation into who failed Sophia in the final months of her life. The new records fill in numerous gaps in the scant information Alameda County officials released earlier, showing that the county social workers charged with protecting the young girl had ample evidence of escalating concerns about her welfare. Specifically, twice doctors reported fears that Sophia was being physically abused, which experts say should have raised a level of alarm far beyond the complaints from the girl's extended family. There is no evidence of attempts to contact those physicians. At least twice, the agency appears to have failed to notify law enforcement as required by state law that it had received reports of physical abuse or severe neglect against a child. The agency never bothered to investigate a June 2021 report of physical abuse that mentioned the involvement of Jackson, the mother's live-in boyfriend, despite relatives describing Jackson as someone who beat Sophia with a belt. No records exist showing DCFS spoke to him. Myriad instances of blank forms and incorrectly filled out paperwork litter the records, highlighting a concerning and occasionally haphazard record system, one expert said. Now, guys, this is one department. Okay, remember that. It's not all CPSs, but it is something that anyone who's worked in record keeping and all knows you should be, those are things you have to follow up on. And if people aren't following up on it, it needs to be caught early, because the longer you go without filling out paperwork, the worse it becomes. It starts off as 1 or 2 forms and it becomes 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. Then it becomes acceptable. And I know, I hear you. Let's see. The documents, which comprise nearly the entirety of Sophia's social welfare case file, are required to be released under a California law written to enable public scrutiny of government agencies charged with keeping children safe. But the county balked at disclosing them, sparking a legal battle with this news organization that led to the new disclosures. Prior to this week, and this was in September, if I recall, September 18th, the agency had released only a small collection of heavily redacted records, which amounted to barely 1/10 of the documents known to be kept by the agency. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every single line here. I am going to put this article in chat so people can read if they want to in depth. We're still going to go through bits and pieces of it, but I'm going to we'll be here all night if we read the whole thing, unfortunately. So as they stated, their response was, we don't have crystal balls and we're never going to get it perfect. But looking at this case, there were definitely opportunities by the agency to investigate further or to investigate at all and to help keep her safe. So how did things start off with Sophia? Sophia lived the first 7 years of her life in relative prosperity. She was playful, energetic student and a regular at Hayward's petting zoo under the doting care of her grandmother. So we've got a girl who lived with her grandma for the first couple of years of her life. Okay, spent a lot of time with her grandmother. I'm not sure she lived with her, but was very involved in her life, family. We see this often. When you get a family member, okay, Burden, I don't know if you can recognize other cases where you know you've got an abused child, so other family members try to pick up to help cover and ensure that child gets a happy childhood. I don't know if you've ever seen cases like that. And let's see.
Sorry, I was stuck. I was frozen. Yes. No, yeah, absolutely. And you've seen quite a few where the family tries to step in and they say like, we'll take the child, or, that a lot of times they try to take the responsibility and they're not allowed to. And then the child just gets left in that same environment. And I've seen that actually happen quite a bit. And then you hear the family come out after and say, like, we were reporting them and we put in so many different complaints. And we said that we would take care of the child, that we would take in it. And why didn't, And so there's actually quite a bunch of these that have had that happen with it.
And I think Mercy actually stated a good point here. And I'm not sure if this is true in all cases, but I agree it should be. Having a regulatory body to respond to that. Long-term care, we have it, Department of Health. And if there are issues, if there's ever a report of abuse or things like that, it goes to these groups who do investigations. They come into the facility, they investigate, they find out, okay, and then we have to get back to them with plans of correction and stuff like that. And depending on the severity of the infraction, there are financial fines and stuff, with potential losing license, things like that. So actually really good point there brought up. Under the doting care of her grandmother, who called the girl her sidekick, her mother Samantha took little interest in raising the girl and remained largely absent during their time, according to other relatives. But in January 2021, Samantha reasserted her role in the girl's life. That's when Alameda County Department of Children and Family Services began receiving reports of abuse and neglect involving the girl. I will say from that sentence, a lot of times when that happens, you start getting into the case. Is it just a family situation where you got family against family because someone's trying to take on more responsibility for the child?
Right.
And so I could see where they might think that, but they won't know that unless they follow up on the concerns. The records reveal for the first time that the county initially investigated the complaints, but that its 2-month effort was sporadic. Social workers quickly dismissed 4 of the first 5 reports the county received in 2021. But at the end of the park visit, a social worker was concerned enough to propose creating a safety plan. So 5 steps before they finally, let's just create, quote unquote, a safety plan. A written agreement between caseworkers and the family to ensure a child remains out of danger. Common in such situations, no such plan appears in Sophia's file, indicating it was not most likely completed.
Yeah. So it was a thought put out there. It was just tossed into the wind and it just blew away. Yeah, that's so sad.
Where's the follow? How do you set up follow-up systems to make sure something like this happens?
Right.
And that's where it comes. Sophia's mother did not make it easy for county workers to track her down. She moved frequently. She was usually unreachable by phone and failed to show up for scheduled meetings. As the investigation wore on, she repeatedly threatened not to work with the agency. The social worker would often go weeks between seeing Sophia, records show. Finally, after weeks of off and on again communication with Sophia and her mother, the social worker in charge of the girl's case deemed allegations of neglect by the mother to be, quote unquote, unfounded. And she ruled allegations of physical abuse as inconclusive.
I just don't even know. I just don't even know. And now that, I mean, I guess hindsight's 2020, but I still don't know. I'm not quite sure how. At that point, there was no indication of anything that they could see anyway. And man,
And
that's so hard.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is 20. Hindsight is Monday morning quarterback. Very easy to do. Okay, that's interesting. The other side of it is, was it truly unfounded and inconclusive, or was it more of the fact that this case worker had so much on their plate and was having to spend all their time being told? She was running away from them. She was threatening them, all those things. Do you finally just say, okay, you know what? I got all these other cases here that need all this other work. What do I do? Okay, we'll go this direction.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of what I thought too, is that it could be like, why did you make the decision that it was unfounded? It doesn't seem as though that would have been, now that we see everything, fast forward, it doesn't seem like that would be consistent with what she did or did not find. Does not seem like they equal each other. And so, yes, you do question if it was because she was trying to maybe not take on that workload. And that being said, the case that we covered last week, I ended up finding more information on it, and it went into looking into the county, and it was talking about the huge amount of cases that every single caseworker, one worker, and how many cases all by themselves that they have to handle. And that was just up in the one that we discussed last week. And so I wonder, this week, I wonder if it says anywhere in here. I don't know, because I don't think we have the full 400 pages, but I am curious how many social workers are in that county and how many numbers they have for each of them, their own workload. How many do they have? I'm really curious to know that number, because that could be a huge reason.
It does make sense. Okay, I'm sorry you guys get to hear me talk about long-term care so much, but many times it's the same thing. You've got CNAs or nurses, so many CNAs, nurses for so many residents. And you do have to look at that. For example, if I have a dementia case, I need more caregivers. Okay, because it takes a lot more work to deal with someone who is wandering with dementia, or someone who's at a higher acuity is going to need something. It's the same thing here.
Yeah.
But they need to look at that. One child does not equal one child. Also, each case is its own case. Okay, and sometimes it is an excuse. Mercy, sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's real that it is an issue there. So, and that's one thing I always, as we go through this, it's important to understand what's going on, because these people who dealt with Sophia are having to live with whatever happened to her in the end. And let's see, going on. The conclusions were inexplicable, said Emerald Johnson, Sophia's aunt, who submitted 4 of the 5 reports of abuse during that 2-month stretch. Why wouldn't you help a child who says she's being hit? I just don't understand it. Johnson said in an interview referring to the admission in the park, they didn't do their job at all. I just feel like they didn't care. A possible explanation for the tepid nature of the investigation exists in other documents included in the case file. There, county workers labeled some of the complaints in early 2021 as duplicates of an initial complaint in January, when the mother allegedly, quote, hit and choked her and then covered Sophia's mouth, so the grandmother in the home couldn't hear her scream. However,
this poor baby. I'm sorry. This sweet baby, when you just, I mean, I'm sure it's not going to go into all the details as if we had seen the documents, and I'm thankful, but not, because sometimes this stuff needs to be seen in all of its brutality, and then maybe it would open up some eyes to these children. They're so innocent, and they just can't. They can't. They are so vulnerable, and it's just devastating to hear what they suffer. It's just too much. It's too much for my heart. I just can't handle hearing it and knowing that anybody could inflict that kind of pain upon their own child at that.
Yep, exactly. No, Ali, yes, all of this came out in the 400 pages. I looked for this, but I didn't really have the time to find it. The news, Mercury News, actually went to court to get the 400 pages to be able to really investigate what had happened in this case. And that does, yeah, when you see the whole case, and this is just the start of it, it's really sad, and what this poor baby had to go through. A possible explanation for the tepid nature did that. However, a review of the records suggests those labels were erroneous. In reality, most successive complaints detailed new allegations against the mother or her mother's friends. In one, relatives feared that Sophia's mother was being sexually trafficked in front of the girl, and that Sophia hadn't been to school in 2 weeks. Another said Sophia had scabs down her knees and ankles. So we're seeing more and more of these, like we saw last week, we started seeing in those reports so much more that was going on there.
And also, did the school, does that say in there, or my brain does not remember if the school did any, because the family did 4 out of the 5 complaints. I don't know who that 5th complaint was, and I'm wondering, because I mean there were doctors that were right, who, and then there's also the teachers, and her not being to school in 2 weeks. I mean, there should have been more complaints, I guess, or right, something's not adding up with that, and so you wonder, how are we, like, something's amiss here.
I know they're talking a 2-week time period here. So I think this is just that 2-week time period where they said, oh, there was nothing to follow up on because nothing had happened. But it's kind of like the case of Ariel. We had how many people making complaints about Ariel, and they weren't really looked into the way they needed to be looked into. And so many other cases. Yeah. Only twice did the social worker assigned to her case speak to Sophia in person during the 2-month investigation. Both times, the girl, who struggled with a speech impediment, gave waffling short answers. Now, I'm going to say one thing. If you have a speech impediment, it's also going to take more trust, more being calm to be able to talk with someone. And if you've only talked to someone, twice, that's not giving you time to develop that relationship where a person feels comfortable if they have a speech impediment to talk to them.
Right.
And sometimes short answers such as yes or no to questions about if her mom or mom's friends were hitting her. At times she say she felt safe with her mom, but when separated from her mom, Sophia spoke up, offering the statement at the Hayward Park that someone is hitting me, and that she feared for her safety. She added her mother had, quote, hit me a little, end quote. Asked why, Sophia answered she wanted to hurt me. Yeah. After that meeting, the social worker noted in her report that she didn't have enough evidence to remove the child from her biological mother and took no further steps to interview the girl. In a surprising conclusion, go for it, Burden.
No, I was just going to say that's just really strange there that the answer was it's because she wanted to hurt me, but then they didn't do a follow-up. That's strange, right? It's not like I was in trouble, I was bad, and even with that, you know, sometimes the child isn't technically really bad, right? But with this one, I mean, they're just point blank telling you, like, she wants to hurt me, and so I mean, I don't know if she could be very, well, she hits me a little, right? But that, knowing how to work with these children, I think you should have seen right there that the fact that she was even honest enough to say that and honest enough to give a straight answer about, that she wanted to hurt me, you seem like would be something that she would have picked up on and noticed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was like, I don't know where I just either read this or heard this in a chat I was in. If a child tells you, okay, that they're hurt, okay, and nothing happens, and a child says it again and says it again, no one helps pull them out of the situation. But every time they get in trouble for saying it, because most times it's going to come back to mom or dad or cousin or uncle or aunt or whatever who did it, that something happened and they could get punished. They also get to the point where they don't want to say anything anymore. So if someone comes as far, and they say that, you got to take it. And that goes back to education then. So what is what are the continuing education requirements like? Because I don't know about you. After about 10 years, the stuff I learned in school, a lot of it is gone. That's what continuing education is about. Do these people go through any continuing education on a regular level? Every year, do they have to have so many hours in certain subjects, for example?
That's a great idea. That's actually really great, because even the law enforcement have to go through training, and they have to do, I don't know, don't quote me because I don't have anybody that's in law enforcement, but I do know that they have to go and take, I don't know if it's yearly or how frequent it is, but I do know that they are regularly going and having to take classes and courses and training and being tested again and again. And same with firefighters, I believe, too, also do the same thing.
Yep.
But yeah, so you're right. That would be a great idea. That would be a great idea.
It's important. Long-term care, you do have it. Annual education. Okay, it was part of mine. I taught half of it. And on top of that, if something happened, say we were starting to see an increase in falls during a certain month, I would increase an extra, discussion about falls and being alert to them and signs and stuff like that. So those are just ways of kind of trying to make sure you head off any issues. Okay, be preventative. Let's see here. After that, took no. Okay, it's a surprising conclusion, said Carly Sanchez, an attorney for the girl's grandmother, who filed a claim, a precursor to a lawsuit against Alameda County earlier this month. This is September. I looked for an update to this lawsuit. I've seen nothing. Okay, now maybe I've missed something. Very, very possible I missed something, but I haven't found anything. Social workers have the ability to send children to professional forensic interviews, whose entire job is to interview a child who has been abused. That wasn't enacted, Sanchez said. Social workers have the ability to enact safety plans. That was not enacted. It's not like you have to just talk to the kid and either take them from parents or do nothing. Okay, for Emerald Johnson, it all amounts to a profoundly disappointing end to a chance to help a girl. I told them now she's going to be afraid, Emerald recalled telling police and social workers in early 2021. You made her tell the truth. She told the truth. You did nothing about it, which makes sense in this case.
Yeah, and even Mercy was saying too that, minimizing it, and the fact that how courageous it was for a child to speak up and say something when instinctively they do want to protect, and also instinctively not even just protect, but sometimes it's already out of that fear, and so it's to protect themselves. So it's a kind of a twofold there. They want to protect their parent or whoever it is, family member, and then the other part is to protect themselves from, like, oh no, if I say something, I'm going to get in trouble. And oh man, that would scare me to daylights. I tell you, I would not have the courage as a child to spoke up. I wouldn't. I know just how I am now. I'm a pushover on a lot of things. And so, I mean, I don't think I would have. And so man, it just, it's devastating. And but
that's
absolutely
the reward
true.
for speaking. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is medical professionals, a family's tug of war, who is best fit to care for a child, often shows up in the child welfare files. What is most damning in this case, two experts said, is that it also contains alarming reports from clinicians, which were largely ignored. On September 30th, 2021, two Kaiser Permanente hospital staff members, a doctor and a social worker, raised fears to Alameda County social workers that Sophia had, quote, suspicious bruises on her right hip and back. Minor was also observed with some markings to her body that appeared to be old cigarette burns, marks. When Mother was questioned about these marks, Mother stated they were from ice packs that had been left on too long. The pediatrician didn't buy this explanation, yet no record exists of a county social worker ever reaching out to either the hospital employee, according to the documents. That same thing happened in February 2021 when the agency neglected to check in with another pediatrician who raised concerns. But in the third instance, about 2 weeks after the first pediatrician raised concerns about the child's physical well-being, another doctor sent an apparently unprompted email to county workers, giving the girl a clean bill of health. Even then, there are no records in the file indicating social workers responded. So, yeah, exactly, Nicole, exactly. What were they using? Dry ice or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the only thing that would be even slightly maybe consistent with that. I mean, that's pretty clear and obvious, and also really frustrating that I've heard that. How many have you heard that in? That of burn marks on children from a cigarette?
Yeah.
I've heard so many. Like, I can't even. Oh my gosh. I mean, I used to be a smoker, and back then I wouldn't even put a cigarette on like an ant that was running down the sidewalk or something. Like, I wouldn't even do that, and you're doing it to your own child.
To your own child. Gosh. It's impossible. It's crazy. The lack of official follow-up with clinicians who made reports of abuse after examining a child is simply acceptable. Who co-wrote the law mandating disclosure. Yeah, what's the use of mandating reporters if no one's going to follow up on the report? You need to have that. Of course, I'm not even going to just point it at CPS. I'm also looking at, within the hospital, they have to have some level of follow-up system themselves. Okay, I am sure the hospital's risk management company knew that they reported this one case. So is there anything going on? Sorry, 1 second. My mom's right here. 1 sec. I'll be right.
No, but as she is talking, that same thing, that very much so, they should have said something, and that's what I asked earlier was, did the medical staff say anything, the doctors, and then also I was asking about the teachers, but yeah, did the medical staff recognize it, see it, and I mean, come on, and then, from there, it's just so frustrating, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, sorry, mom's like, when are you going to come in? I'm like, when I'm done. Sorry. But yeah, no, is there any follow-up within the hospital? Say, for example, do they have a system in place that if no one contacts them to follow up on a case, that they do their own follow-up? Okay, so this is what I talk about. It's looking at systems and how it can be done. So this isn't just to say shame on you type thing. Okay, even though yes. Okay, but it's how can things be changed so someone like Samantha doesn't lose their life in the future. A different social worker than the one. So now we've got a different social worker. Ended up speaking with Sophia in the days after she appeared at Kaiser Permanente Hospital. The girl said she felt safe with her mom. It's unclear if the interview happened in the presence of Samantha. So was she with her mom at the time? We don't know. Ultimately, the agency closed the case a few days later as unfounded. And again, the agency characterized Sophia's risk of further abuse or neglect as moderate. It proved to be the last time a social worker interacted with the girl before her body was found decaying in a bathtub in Merced. But the man suspected, along with Sophia's mom, in the killing of the young girl had been known to officials. So, at this point, boyfriend. One of the more blatant failures of Alameda County social workers came in June 2021. Months earlier, relatives warned county employees that Sophia and her mom were staying with Jackson, a man identified as either his mother's pimp, friend, or boyfriend, according to records. In the documented complaints, relatives said Sophia told them Jackson, quote, beat her everywhere with a belt and the belt buckle, end quote, and engaged in at least one sexual act in front of her. This is an 8-year-old girl, guys. Extended family worried that in addition to physical abuse, the girl was living among strangers in motels and women being trafficked by Jackson. Sophia had reported being injured by people she did not know, family members said. There is a record of an agency social worker at least twice calling a number belonging to Jackson months before the June complaint, but no records of anyone actually speaking to him or seeing him in person. If conversations did take place, it would almost certainly have been noted in the caseworker call logs. So they called most likely and never spoke to him. He never returned a call.
Why wasn't there any kind of investigation or anything into him if he was known to the authorities, as well as there's now statements about whether trafficking is happening from him? I'm wondering why there wasn't an investigation into him alone, so even whether you want to attach the investigation into Sophia or not at all, but just why weren't they deeper with him? Sure, you could try calling him a couple times, but no, why aren't you actually investigating him and following up? Because, man, those are big allegations, right? That one of abuse, and two, that he's trafficking supposedly. That's definitely something I would think you'd want to look into.
Her life is looking like this is the accepted norm for her life now. It's not like a singular incident even at this point, not that that should even matter, but this is looking like a normal lifestyle at this point. Okay, for an 8-year-old to witness a sexual act occurring right in front of her. Okay, on top of the rest of it, it's very, and of course he isn't going to call back. Do you think he's going to call back? No, he's not going to. And let's see, in the documented, I did that one. Okay. There is record of an agency social worker. Actually, the first mention of his involvement came during the county's initial 2-month investigation in early 2021. However, his name appeared again during a dismissed complaint in June of 2021. The girl's aunt said Sophia showed up with 3/4-sized marks on her arm. This referral specifically noted that Jackson had previously been accused of abusing the girl. An intake worker said the case warranted a response within 24 hours. A partially completed screening form shows. Partially completed. No records exist that anyone checked on the girl's well-being. Stoller Peterson was speechless that no one responded to a clear-cut report of physical abuse. I don't know how you can do that, quote. Can't wrap my head around that one. It's your chance to see if someone has an active injury, and to miss that opportunity is very strange. It appears county workers might have violated state law by not reporting to law enforcement suspected abuse of Sophia at his hands. So could be infected. Yeah, and that's the thing, Sleuth. This is becoming a norm for this girl at this point. And that's just scary. Police not alerted as required. So this is where each of us in our own states have requirements as to when police need to be informed about potential abuse. Okay, there's all these systems in place that, in theory, when followed, will protect the child. So under a section of the California Penal Code, county social workers must immediately or as soon as practically possible notify law enforcement of every known or suspected instance of child abuse or neglect, except for instances of general neglect. Social workers also must file a written report to law enforcement within 36 hours of learning of suspected abuse or neglect. The law exists to ensure that at least 2 sets of eyes from 2 different agencies are always examining reports. Yet in Sophia's case, this fail-safe appears to have flat out failed on multiple occasions. Written notifications were submitted to law enforcement people in 3 of the 7 referrals that they got. An 8th report was marked as only involving general neglect, a category that does not fall under the reporting law. My question there would be, what is considered general neglect versus specific? It's something that, you make something too specific, it gives people ways of working around it when they're too busy. I hate to say it.
Yeah, loopholes.
Mm-hmm. Bingo. Written notifications were submitted to law enforcement. One of the few notifications to law enforcement was filed March 22nd, 2021, 2 months after the county received the report of physical abuse for which it was issued. So it took 2 months for them to send the report, by which time any physical evidence would have faded. It also marked the exact day that the county closed its investigation into that complaint. So what that's telling me is that basically they're like, we're closing this case right now. Oh, we forgot to do this. Let's do this real quick, just so we can close it. Although there is no explanation for the juxtaposition. Hayward police have said they received no information which warranted their investigation. It's part of a broader theme throughout Sophia's case of incomplete record keeping that includes intake forms, all that. Okay. So that's what happened with this poor baby. Okay. I didn't want to go too much into the specifics of all that happened to her because honestly, gang, what happened to her was sickening. And a lot of what happened, I didn't want to make people's head go in one direction by just hearing the severity of what had happened to her. But there was extreme severity in a lot of what this poor baby had to go through. But I don't know. Yeah.
Another thought, I guess I meant to say it earlier. I don't know. It must have escaped me, but is the fact that why did it take an entire month? Why was she in the tub for an entire month? I mean, it just is like insane to realize how nobody was doing anything, like nothing was happening, that she laid there, she lost her life and then laid there for an entire month afterward, and it's just so devastating. And it does just, where was anybody?
Yeah, and that's it, because it started off with her being reported as missing, and then they find her body there, and I
think that was really quick too. When she was missing, yes. I remember covering it, and it was like she was missing. They were looking for her. Then they quickly turned eyes that they were trying to find him or her, yes. Him, her, and then they ended up going to his, I believe it was his apartment or his home, and he was gone at that point, had taken off, and they weren't even in the house, and she was found inside of the home, left there. But yeah, if I remember correctly, and yeah, I'm pretty sure from when we found out she was missing to when they found her was pretty rapid, and so again, how long? I wonder. I just don't know. I feel like if you report them missing, it doesn't take long for them to do a missing child alert. And so I would be curious on that, but I don't think it's going to make me happy either way. So
no, and that becomes the issue within this. I'm trying to remember if I could find a really good news story to play for you guys. But yeah, mom was arrested pretty much immediately, but the guy actually ran and had a number of women who were kind of protecting him during that time he was running. And you do have this case where mom was in a more dangerous work field. Okay. She actually, she was a prostitute. and having an 8-year-old girl with you during these things. And then this guy, it did set up some really bad living environments for the girl. I'm trying to see if I could find anything to help share with him. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I could find anything here. But yeah, no, it's really, and I think, I mean, we can do a separate live on her and what actually happened with her. But what kind of got me with this whole case here is that this is a perfect example of when our system does fail. Okay, and it looks like initially they tried to hide it by not letting the information come out publicly. Luckily, you had a news channel who kept fighting and taking it to court until they got 400 pages released. And they were able to find the exact areas where she was failed. I think I had read something like there was, they had 45 days to respond to this lawsuit. And I have not heard anything with that. And yes, she is complicit, regardless, the mother at that point. And my concern of looking at is, why is it that she all of a sudden became interested in her daughter after all those years of not being interested? She became very, very interested in having her with her, okay, was it truly to create that relationship, or was there something more sinister behind it? So anyhow, I know you have any last minute thoughts on that, Burden?
Oh, just no. Ultimately, it's the failures, and for me, it starts all the way from a top, right from a system. But it really, if you use the word system, it's multiple, right? It takes one thing, put with another thing, put with another thing to create a system. And that's where exactly what we're focusing on when we are talking about CPS failure. We're not just like only them. It's really the entire system. And where are we having the fail? Where are we falling short in the whole system? And it's not just solely CPS alone. And you could see that. I mean, just off of this case here, you could see that there were doctors and that were saying, no, we don't. I just don't even know what they were saying. It doesn't even make any sense to me, really, with them.
Exactly.
And teachers that she hadn't been to school for the 2 weeks, that 2 weeks leading up there. And did they say anything? So, and then you've got the parents, obviously. And then you've got the reports that she said she is being, there's trafficking stuff going on in the home, and where is somebody to step in? And if the family obviously is not doing that, you've got to go the next step above. And if it's the teacher that's not doing anything, okay, the next would be a doc. You kind of go all the way up, and who are the people that were supposed to be looking into this? And they do have systems set up to help protect children in this very instance. And why did it not work out? What happened that led to this? And it's devastating because, again, I've always say this, like, we're talking about an actual human, a real, full, living, breathing child that's innocent and cannot protect themselves. And I just think it needs to be taken a lot more serious than it does. And I think that if it's one, it's got to be accountability. We've discussed that multiple times over. Accountability, or well, if going back and following up, we've talked about that. That there needs to be follow up on this.
Follow up.
And I don't know. I think that there's a couple of things that could be focused on, and I don't think that it would technically be a big disruption, right? I know another thing that we need to focus on too is also the workload. And I know there are some in the system that are phenomenal and they take their job extremely seriously. And so you can't blame everybody for one person's mess up, right? This was one person that was on this, and she was supposed to be taking care of it, and she came back with, nope, unfounded. I'm not seeing anything here. And so to me, it kind of frustrates me that they can't be held accountable when they are responsible for such an important thing. But I think that there needs to be more funding if that's the problem, and we need more working to cover the heavy caseload that's going on. Then finances need to come in, and it needs to be a priority. I know that there's a lot of people that are doing different petitions, and I want to change this and I want to change that, and I don't know at what point does this become a priority for people that we need to start focusing on it and putting our attention towards it. And so, yeah, I think that's kind of the big thing. Like, I don't, when are people going to realize that we're losing our little ones? Right.
Yeah. No, I know. I sit here and I look through this, and we need to make some changes, but we also have to realize this is not pointing fingers at someone saying, you're such a bad caseworker, or this or that. Many of these caseworkers are trying to do everything physically possible. Many of them are working 60, 70-hour work weeks. Okay, they shouldn't have to be working 60, 70-hour work weeks. Okay, yes, are there bad ones? Yes. Every single career field out there has its bad eggs. It's going to happen. And but it's also hard for people when a person holds a lot of pride in the work that they do, and they see other failures in it and people pointing fingers. It's very easy to take it personally, number one, because you work so hard. And there's also the side that you get upset at others who don't take it as serious as you do. So how can we look at things? Is the solution, just throw more money at it? I think that's probably part of it, but I think we also need to truly look at what is being done. What are the systems in place? Because sometimes just throwing more rules on top of that is not necessarily going to solve everything. You've got to find pull out things that don't work and add things that will work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it's important for us all to look at those things. How do we do it, though? We have to get involved. We have to go out there and get involved into our legislative procedures out there. What is going on? Do we even know what's going on? Most of us probably don't know what's going on at our local legislature, to be honest. And also, I think recognizing that, speaking up for that, maybe part of the solution is private. You still have your public side of things, but maybe if the community is able to help support the system, CPS or whatever, with extra services that are more privatized services that they're getting grant money for, or things like that. Maybe that's part of the solution to it. Because we saw some of the cases here today. Do you have kids going to see a forensic interviewer? There's other things like that we can pull off. So, and that's what this whole series is about. It's about recognizing where there has been failure. I really wish there was a way we could show where there has been success, because we know it's out there, where the system has succeeded. The system has saved a child. The problem is those cases are usually confidential because the child has been saved. Good news tends to work that way. You know how things go there. But there have been great cases too. So, but yeah, I know next week we're going to be over at your channel, Burden, right? Any ideas of what we're going to talk about yet?
Well, you see, somebody just keeps glimmering in my mind. There's a case that just keeps gnawing at me, and I cannot because I don't know what my problem is, but I'm so bad with names. And so there's pieces of the case coming to me, and I cannot recall the little girl's name right now. I know that it's a little girl, and I don't know. So I got to go through my Discord and just backtrack through it. See, maybe I even have a case folder that's open for the child. I just cannot remember right now. Wait, I know her. I just can't think of her name. Oh, man, I'm sorry. I wish that I did.
We're going to be playing a game in Discord. We'll have a game in Discord. You just throw out all of these different ideas. Who can come up with the name the first? So.
I lose on that game already. That's for
exactly.
sure.
That's me. That's me.
Yeah,
totally.
It's so bad. I mean, I was always bad with names, but I thought it was because I wasn't listening, right? I thought that I was too nervous and anxious and like, oh, do I look stupid? Am I going to sound stupid? What do I do? And then they say, hi, I'm so-and-so. And by the time I say hi and I introduce myself, and once we walk away, I realize I know they spoke to me and said, hi, my name is, but I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it. And I always thought it was because I was worrying about myself or something. And I'm coming to realize really quickly that that's not it. I'm just bad with names. I'm just bad with them.
That's how I am. Yeah, no, some people, I'll remember a face, but I won't remember a name. I'm horrible about it. Just horrible. So,
I could remember pieces of this case and I just, her name is, I don't know. So it's a mystery.
Have an unknown case for next week. You got to show up for that. And also,
exactly.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. So, but yeah, no, thank you, Burden, for joining in. Thank you so much for joining in on this.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Hey, anytime, girl. Oh, look at who's watching me. Little one watching in the corner here. So, and Miss Sleuth Mom, who's enjoying relaxing as she's enjoying herself on vacation right now. So, but yeah, no, and chat, you guys have been amazing during this. Being able to pull up comments and all is so cool. And I did want to end with Mercy's comment here. Guys, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is the definition of what? Okay. And yeah, you can get an amen. You can get an amen. We got to stop expecting different results from the same thing over and over and over. And we got to make the changes. We got to be willing to be open to that. And Nicole, thank you so much, my dear. Thank you so much, my dear. Love you, love you. And I hope y'all have the most amazing rest of your night. I am going to go help Mom out because she peeked in. She's like, where are you? We were going to go work on something. And I'm like, oops, sorry. So I'm going to head that way. Yeah. I knew I couldn't get through a whole live without something popping up. So we're going to go clean up some stuff right now. So well, I will see you later, my dear. Everyone in chat, thank you so much. You want to say goodbye? Is that why you're trying to climb out now? Okay, say goodbye, Cassie. No, you just want kisses. Okay. Goodbye, all.
Good night.
Good night.